Hi, everybody. My name is Bonnie. I am one of the workers in the National Mail Order or NMO department at Opus. So if you've ever reached out to someone here at Opus via phone or email, then you've probably talked to me or another member of the team here. Just for an introduction, this is Unifying Urban Scenes with Isabella Santos. But before we turn it over to her, there's just going to be a quick little bit of housekeeping. First of all, you are going to be getting a follow-up email from Opus, and that is going to include a 10% off discount code that you can use in any in-person or online order. If you do have any problems with it, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always here to help. It will also include our email and phone number in the follow-up email. So if you have any sort of, I'm also going to be putting the demo code in the chat. But if you're not able to grab that as I put it in the chat, don't worry. It'll also be sent at the end. So if you feel like you're not getting it or you don't have any question or you have any questions, please always reach out. There's always time afterwards. Any other little notes? Oh, as for the Zoom settings, if you're not familiar with them, you can find all the Zoom settings if you either tap on your screen if you're on a tablet or wiggle your mouse if you're on a computer. The first setting is audio. Everyone but me and Isabel is going to be muted. I'm also going to be muted if I'm not actively talking, just because I am in an office environment and people are talking around me and it can cause a bit of background noise. Video is the second option. You can also turn that on. We can have up to 25 cameras, and it would be absolutely amazing to see all your beautiful faces. If you are finding that you can't turn your camera on, we've probably hit the 25-person cap. Don't worry, you can always try again later. The most important feature is going to be the chat function. So that is going to be, it's going to look like a little bubble with a spout coming off of it. And you're going to want to click on that and type any questions or any comments you have into that. And I will be reading that as the demo goes on, and I will bring any questions to Isabel's attention. All right, with that little bit of housekeeping done, I will turn it over to Isabella, and away we go.
Well, thank you, Bonnie. Thanks, everyone, for coming today. And Opus, of course, for having me here again. Like, we've been doing this for quite some time now. And I really appreciate the invite from Opus to do some demo for Derwent. I would like to know who are urban sketchers here, who are the active urban sketchers and part of a chapter. I would like to know. From Ottawa, Chicago, Westminster, BC, Minnesota, Burnaby, Kelowna, yes. Yes, I can even see some familiar names. Well, that's nice. We have some people from California. Wow, we have quite a group, Bonnie. We are from everywhere. Nice. Oh, finally, I found someone from Toronto, from where I am. San Diego, Winnipeg. Wow, we have quite a group here. All righty. Next question. Who here is planning to attend the International Symposium in Poland in August? That would be cool. Anybody here? Because, as an urban sketcher, I don't know if you're familiar, Urban Sketcher is an international community of sketchers who love sketching the city and telling stories about their sketches. So every year we have an international symposium, and for this year it's going to be in Poznań. It's in Poland. So it will be on August 20 to 24. If you will be in Europe or somewhere there, you can swing by and see international urban sketchers. Right now, we have about 514 chapters worldwide, and we're still growing. In Canada, we are happy to say that there's 15 chapters. But of course, our neighbors in the US, they have more, like maybe 120 by now. I lost track. I lost track. Aside from being active in the local chapters of Urban Sketchers Toronto, I'm also part of the membership team of the international or the global Urban Sketchers. So these are the involvement or my volunteer work as a, as an urban sketcher. But anyway, going back to our topic for today in unifying scenes for urban sketching, I have Bonnie, would you be able to add the link for the image? Because people might want to sketch along.
I
So
do not have a link to the, I don't believe I have the image that you're using. Let me just check to see if
oh,
it's
you can also check my Instagram account because on
okay.
my link tree, I've added it there.
Okay. I will get that and I will put it in the chat. And once again,
Yeah,
I'll also include that in the follow-up email.
yes, yes. Alrighty. Okie dokie. So maybe we can switch to my
Yes.
sketchbook now because I'm pretty sure they wanted to see my sketchbook and what I do with the Derwent set. Okay, so pretty much, this sketchbook, it is a handmade sketchbook. I had this as a project. We have a group here who had like a making make a sketchbook workshop. It's just us among friends. So what I did was I found a brownie a brownie box, which is so good. And it's hard enough to hold my paper. So I made a sketchbook out of it. So my sketchbook is personalized. And this is the only sketchbook that I created. By the way, usually I have sketchbooks from that I would buy from art supply stores. But this one, since it's a project, I said like, maybe I want to try this specifically just for Derwent. So aside from having a sketchbook, we will be using the Inktense Inktense paint pen set number one, the set number one. And as you can see, this is like a little unboxing. I requested for this because my my the current palette that I'm using is not so precise. So it's well loved, as you could see. So, and the packaging is also totally different now. So this is the new one, which is actually a nicer box with this indentation. And I like how the Derwent logo is put, or it's like an embossment. I don't know. It's I don't know the technical term, but I like it better than this one. And of course, this is the set that you're getting. Pretty much the colors are the same. And of course, you'll get a nice brush to go with it. It is your water brush. Uh, this one I had before. I lost my small brush, so I found a smaller brush that I would use and take with me elsewhere. But the colors are pretty much the same because this is the set one. Maybe later, Bonnie will be able to give you the different colors, just in case you'll be interested on how the names of the colors.
Oh,
Um,
just put it in the chat now if anyone is
there you
curious. Yeah.
go. There you go. So it's what I like about Derwent. They have like cute, funky names for their colors, and it's called Inktense. The colors are vibrant. It's very intense. It's pretty much the same materials that came from the pencil, except of course the pencil has a different binder because otherwise it won't be as solid. But these were the one that came from the block. If you have the block set, it's the same. So these are the pretty much the colors that I use for my sketchbook. So everything that you would see on this sketchbook is by using this set. So if you want to create something similar, you have to grab this set and you're good to go for urban sketching. Another thing that I like about Derwent, it dries quickly. Because when you're urban sketching, you need to rush. You're always on the go, and you need to finish something, or a truck would park in front of what you're sketching. So you don't like that to happen, and you're still fanning your sketchbook or whatever paper you're using because it's not drying so quickly. Unless, of course, you want that wet on wet technique. But for urban sketching, I think it's kind of difficult to do a wet on wet technique. You always want it quick and easy and portable. You want something that's so convenient that you just bring one thing with you, plus a pen, and just in case, because this is already a water brush, you have extra water with you just in case. But most of the time, I would just bring several water brushes, and these are my heavy duty water brushes because it has pump it has a pump in them, and it's easy for you to let water flow. You can see, yeah, so it's very convenient to have it with you, and good for mixing and using it and applying it onto your paper. Alrighty, so I'll just give a short flip through of what my sketchbook looks like. So unifying scene, this is pretty much what you saw, and this is what we're going to sketch. This is what I'm going to show you today. This was done on April 13, and then 14 days after I made this. But if you look at the scene, it looks like it's on the same playground. So this is what I'm saying about unifying scene, on how to connect one sketch to the other. So, because some of the previous students I had, if they have a sketchbook, they would put um, a border, and then they just limit themselves to what they see on their page. Probably because that is their style, they want to sell it. For me, having a sketchbook is like being in a playground, having fun and experimenting on what I can do on location and what I can do with my materials. So this sketch that I did before has had an empty neighbor for several days. I don't like to connect something because I didn't find anything that would fit this children's playground before I found this like 14 days after. So I just left it be and left this blank. So I tried to look for other stuff, and then I started sketching this because I said I don't want to put this thing. This was during Holy Week. So I was in church sketching mostly religious things, and then I said, okay, this was Good Friday, and then we had a meet up at the 401 Richmond. It has it has a quote here that said Spiritus in nobis qui viget. Sorry, I'm murdering Latin. Viget illa facit. So it means the spirit living within us fashions all this. And oh, it's kind of religious. Maybe I can blend this together. So these are two different sketches. One was done on the 18th of April, and the other one was done the 19th of April, a day apart, but it blended well because there's a little bit of continuity, although they were sketched this is one location, this is another location, this is another one, and this is during our meetup. So you can put pockets of stories that goes well with your layout. Another one I did is this is doesn't blend well together, but it's food and it's people eating food. So it's a little bit similar. Uh, this is just one spread during Sakura. And this is actually our international sketch walk. So as an urban sketcher, we have this international event of sketch walk, and the whole world, all urban sketching chapter, we have several activities and sketch walks or different events happening at the same time. So did some we did some sketch walk, meaning you go to one location after 20 to 30 minutes, you move on to the next. And then after 20, 25 minutes, you move on to the next. So these were the sketch walks we did here in Toronto, and we called it the Sculptures of Wellington. So I started my sketch from here. It is at David Pickalt Square, and then we moved to the TD Center, because there are also sculptures on TD Center, and then we moved to Commerce Court, which has the elephant. I don't know if you can see. So there's the elephant, and there's the cow. That's actually called pasture. That's why there are cows. And then this is our Birdsea Park, which is a dog park. So these were actually 1, 2, 3, 4 locations that I did in one spread. But at least this is just one day. So all of this were done using um, the Derwent set. This Derwent set. So this is the last thing that I'm going to show before we start sketching. So these were done like a few days apart as well. This is a University of Toronto sketch. First, I did Victoria College, which is this university. And then 6 days after, I did another U of T building. This is University College. So it looks like the same colors, same. There's unifying colors within the spread, but they're actually from two different locations. Does Isabel normally have enough time and location to finish a painted sketch? All of these were done on location. So that's what I'm saying. If you're on location and you're an urban sketcher, you have to finish everything there. Maybe if you have you need to add a little bit of values, of a little bit of colors. You can still do it at home, but as much as possible, you would like to finish everything on location, because we have a throwdown after. A throwdown literally means throwing down our sketchbook on the sidewalk so everybody can see everybody else's work. So I'm pretty sure some of the urban sketchers in this Zoom meeting knows what I'm talking about. And if you're not an urban sketcher, please check out your local chapters. We have several now in Canada. And if you have a town or a city that doesn't have one, please email me. Maybe we can make one for you. So, or maybe you can help organize something that you and your group can have, so we can do our, you know, we can do urban sketching with our friends. Maybe you can become an official chapter. So that's it. Yes.
I
So
do have another question about the sketchbook that you're using. Are you using any kind of, is there like a particular kind of paper that you're using, or is it just cold pressed watercolor paper using whatever you have on hand?
as an urban sketcher, you have your preference, you have
Mhm.
your favorites. You can just check out Opus. They have lots of selections of sketchbooks. And it depends on you, because sometimes some artists, they would prefer something small so they can easily put in a pocket. Guys, I know guys who would work on like a 3x5 or something smaller. But yeah, that is something that you can put on your pocket. Ladies would like that to have as well, because ladies, they love the smaller the better because it's cute, and you can easily put them in your bag. So the the option of choosing a material is really up to you. And that's one thing nice about urban sketching. Your style is is really up to you. It's they don't have anything specific. They don't require any material. However, the only requirement is you have to sketch on location.
So we do have another question from the chat about how do you find urban sketchers if you're traveling to, let's say, another city? So let's say you're going to a city in Europe. Would you just go to
Okay.
the Urban Sketcher site or?
Yes. So urban sketchers, if for example you're going to London, this I did personally. So what I did was, if you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram, reach out to their chapter. You can just message them and they will reply to you. Or you can also check out the chapters. If for example you're going to a city that's not really known, or you think there's no chapter there, check out urbansketchers.org. Try to look for the chapters, because we have a chapter finder, and you can easily find the chapters. It's organized by region, so Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, uh, Antarctica, because Australasia, Oceania, that's what it's called, like Australia, New Zealand. So, and under each country, there are several chapters. So in Europe, it's a really big group in Europe. So that is something you can check out. Yeah. Alrighty. So maybe now we can start sketching. All right. So I will be using this set. I'll be using this set. If you would notice, um, I hardly rinse off my. Actually, this is clean. I only did one sketch using these colors, and I tend to put the same color on the same spot. Why? Because pretty much it's the same mix. So I put my blues here, and then this blue will eventually turn to my shadow shadow palette, or shadow whatever. And then my greens and my yellows and my red. I don't use red so much. So this portion will, if after this is blue, this will eventually turn into, like, I would add purple or brown there. So it will become my shadow. And that's the last thing that I would be adding. So I don't need to wash it regularly. And sometimes I actually like the combination of colors, the mixing that would happen, unless it's really, really muddy. And then I will just wash it off with the paper towel. But as much as possible, if you're on location, put the same hue at the same spot, so you don't need to clean up regularly. I mean, that's just me. Because some people I know, they like it very clean. But if your colors are too clean, uh, sometimes they get boring. Don't you see? Like when you put them on your paper, like I don't have anything on my paper that's the actual color. I usually mix them because it's fun. It's funky and it's mysterious. All right. So, since I think this is the I don't want to put. Have you found the sketch that we're going to do? Not yet?
Yes, I have. I'll put it
Okay.
in the chat again just to
All
remind
right.
people of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was
So
starting to talk and I'm like, that's right, I'm muted.
so the scene is at Korea Park. This is a little garden in Mississauga, but from what I've heard, Korea Park in Japan is a huge garden. We went here. I sketched here during cherry blossom period, but this scene exactly, they didn't have the cherry blossoms yet. They were in different parts of the park. However, what I like about this photo is a mix of a little bit of water. There's a little bit of structure at the back. There are people, because urban sketching is fun if you sketch people in it. I know some people, they don't, some sketchers, they are afraid of sketching people because, oh, the proportion might be wrong. I may not be able to capture their looks, their faces, or they're walking so quickly. So how would I be able to sketch them? If you will, if you're an urban sketcher and you sketch on location, when you're looking at your scene, definitely people will be walking there. Or if it's a quiet place and then there's no people, one way or the other, there's someone who's going to walk by you. Take note of the proportion of the person because that will give like a scale to whatever you're sketching. So try to figure out how high, where does the head of the person hit your drawing, or find the scale for it. Otherwise, it will be distorted. Like maybe your person will be too big and it won't fit at the door, or something like that. But you don't have to be really accurate with your scale as long as it's believable. Or you can also be creative, make it funky. As long as there's blending and unifying scene on your sketch, then you'll be good. All right. So as I was mentioning earlier, when I took the pictures, there were four people in front, and then all of a sudden, they of course they moved out after they took pictures, and lots of other people were on the same place, on the same location. So I just take note of the height of the person across the tree and everything else, and that's it. You can add the details later. So this picture that we have as a reference, we will be sketching that. Hopefully, how much time do we have, Bonnie?
We've got an hour, plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have plenty of time, according to you. We have plenty of time. Yes. So
If I'm proven
um,
wrong, I will be proven wrong.
no, we have to do this quickly. So if you have the reference with you, if you can view it now, what I would like to do is try to blend it into this sketch I did last May. There are trees there, and there I have a tree here. I'll try to put all of all of the elements here because there's a big rock, right? So I will use, you can use any fine liner or fountain pen. Normally I would use fountain pen when I'm on location. I don't know if Opus sells fountain pen, but if you don't have fountain pens, you can use like fine liners. Any fine liners will do. I don't usually start with a pencil because I want to save on time. if if I start sketching with a pencil and then I have to redo everything again using a pen, so why waste time, right? So if the only thing you need to do is put the proportions of the elements just to make sure. The other trick that I use is water soluble pens. Okay, either it's a watercolor pencil, try to use something light, And then once you add your watercolor, it will disappear like magic. So for here, I would, because I can see a huge rock right here. I don't need to complete the rock. Just there, small rocks here. Uh, the, I'm just, I'm just. Can you see? Can you see? Are you good?
Yeah.
I I don't need to make this darker. I'm just doing it. Sometimes I would just even use my finger just to have a proportion. Or maybe where I put the water here, water line there, maybe the trees here. Just playing with your finger and um, positioning it. I think that's a proper way to say it. Like positioning it on to your canvas or your paper. So you can have, the rule of thirds. The common, oh, what's the rule of thirds? Anyone here who knows the rule of thirds? Like, yeah. So rule of thirds, like a little bit of proportion there, and then some of the trees here. So this is the rock there. So at this moment, when you're looking at the scene, people are already moving. You cannot place them, right? So start with your foreground, add some placement into it. So what I do is, because the rock is right here, there's a nice tree here. I can kill some of the tree in my drawing, so it's not blocking too much of the way. There's a tree here, instant tree. I don't need to sketch anymore. So what I'll do is maybe just put some marks, like dots. Like you won't be seeing it on my sketch because I'm just putting some placement. I'm just showing you how I would do it when I'm on location, and then make it.
How long do you find it takes you to, I mean, I'm assuming it depends on the complexity and also just sort of how
Mhm,
it, the day, but how long in
mhm.
general do you find it takes you to finish one of these sketches?
It depends on the time, but I'm comfortable finishing a sketch in an hour or an hour and a half. Like because you timed me today that I have 1 hour to finish this, so I have to finish this in an one in 1 hour. I have to finish this in 1 hour. So I'm already having a tree here and there. So you won't be seeing it much because I'm not. I'm still placing it on my paper, and I remembered we have a like a little body of water there. I don't want the car to get into the water, but I'll add a little bit of water here because of this mark. That could be the boundary for the watery side of the drawing because this is a like a little pond, and that is something that I can add there. So do I want to add another tree here? There's another tree here. Maybe I'll add one tree here, or there's just a line. You won't be able to see it much there. However, since I already have this marked here, one thing interesting are the rooftop on this like a little plaza. I think it's a bell plaza. There's a little bell there, like a Japanese bell. So I would put the rooftop because it has an A line there. And then another one here on the other side. See, now you can start seeing some drawings. Then I will complete this side with the tree. I'm not putting any tree here anymore because I just want three threes. Okay, and I would like to add more people on this side. So I don't want my tree dead in the middle because it's boring. Like you want something off center. So I'll put a tree here. That's my tree. Can you see this line now? I think this is more
Yes.
visible. All right. All right. So that's the tree. And then, oh, person walking. Okay. This is just imagination, right? Okay. You can see people walking, taking pictures. Immediately, just mark where their heads would be. And then I'm always telling this to my students. So to quickly draw people, do the mo. I always tell them, do the mo. What is a mo? Do the mo. Mo is draw the M. This is the O for the head and W for the legs. So do the mo and that is your color. Those are your hands. Do the W and mo. So do the mo. So easily, just for you to mark them. Of course, you can add the details later, right? So this could be a woman in a dress with a nice hat. You can do that later. So for me, I will just mark the heads for these 4 ladies, maybe, or maybe just put 3 there, and then maybe add more people in the background, because you don't know, like people are walking by, see, or people, someone is sitting here, just like in the original sketch. So those are the things. Easily, you have grabbed the proportion. You already have people in your sketch, right? And it gives um like a reality feel to the sketch when you have people in it. Okay? So now going back to to the structure, you have a like a little
We
dent
have a
on
couple
the.
people asking if you could just do the Mo technique again, just to
Oh,
show
mo.
them. Yeah.
This is so popular, the mo. Alrighty. So do the mo. Okay. Mo. Put the head there and then the W. There.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This can become a dress now. There. Or add a bag. Do the mo again. Walking with the dog. Easy. All right. Practice it. I'm not also good sketching people. Some are really good sketching people, but having a hard time sketching building. Let me sketch buildings and I can deal with the people later. Okay? Because some people, some sketchers, they love sketching. They love sketching people on location, but they are having a hard time like finding the angles of the buildings. I had an architectural background, although I didn't finish my architectural course. I shifted to business, but I know how to do the vanishing point. And I think I still know how to sketch an elevation from uh, a plan. So these are the things that you get trained on when you're in architecture. So I don't add too much details on on the on the bush. I just do some wiggly lines, and then for the rock, I will just quickly do some blocks on the rocks, and then we can play with it later on when we add our paint there. So I'm pretty much done with this corner. Oh, there's a person walking here. Okay, so that's it. And then here's your tree. I'm not coloring my tree because what I find when I'm urban sketching, if I already put too much color on the background, I have a tree. I don't need to color it anymore. Otherwise, for me, it's suffocating. I would rather leave a lot of white spaces because it adds interest and it adds something to the imagination. It leaves something to the imagination of the viewer. So um, these are the things that you may want to consider when you're sketching. Plus, it saves you time. Okay, so those are the trees that I added, and maybe some of the branches. So that's that. Someone's walking right there, and then there. So the bell is right here, but doesn't matter anymore. So there, this structure. So what you find there? Some structures at the back. Maybe I can add these three people right here now. So there. Everyone is just busy taking pictures. You know, this is so convenient when you take a picture and then you sketch it after. You're not rushing to finish the person. Uh, but of course, when you're on location, it's quite difficult to do that unless you wait for someone else and then you can Frankenstein. I sometimes call it Frankenstein technique. This head will go to another person's head, the next person who would come by. So it's a Frankenstein kind of, especially when you're sketching in a cafe. So you're sketching a couple enjoying their coffee, and then all of a sudden they move. So what will you do? Oh my God, they disappeared. And then another person or another couple will go on the same spot, and then you can continue your drawing. So those are the things that you can consider. I use that all the time. So do we have any questions?
We do have we have a question actually. What kind of pen are you using? Are you just using a yeah, fine liner?
It's a fine liner.
Yeah.
Any fine liner would do, as long as it's make sure that it's permanent, because you don't want it to block
I was gonna say
or
usually
dissolve.
the ones I know is most commonly used by a lot of other artists here in Vancouver, at least. Yeah, they're the Pigma, because they're
Yeah,
pigment based. So once they dry, so just give them a couple minutes to dry, and then once you do, you can paint over them with watercolor.
yeah,
Um,
I agree,
and
and they're
you've got
good. Yeah, yeah, different
um,
point.
you're using cold press paper in your sketchbook, and what size is it again,
Oh,
approximately?
I actually don't know, because
Okay,
I have no idea. Most likely, this is like a 9 by 12, maybe,
okay.
maybe, because these are scrap paper, whatever I find there, because it was an experiment when I
Hmm.
got there. So I don't want to tear or cut up like a fresh full sheet of paper. That's why
Yeah.
I just use this, because I even did the stitching myself. So yeah, so something to experiment on.
And we
Okay.
just had another person in the chat just wanting some clarification. Um, how you typically work, you don't work sequentially through your sketchbook. You'll sketch sort of on one page, or in this case, sort of in the middle of a page, and then fill in the other side or any other gaps later as you sort of find something that matches the
Mhm.
tone. And that's sort of the process you have. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because I have an adult ADHD. I don't know. Because I cannot keep still like focus on just one thing, especially for my sketch. I like a little bit of variety because you also want to experiment, try something else. Plus, it depends on what you see at that moment, and you'll see like this doesn't jive well with this one. So if you're done, if for example like this one, because I bought some tomatoes, it's still empty since April because there's nothing that I find that would blend with this, that would unify this in. Maybe next time, if I see pumpkins or corn or whatever, it will wait until the fall until I fill this up because it's orangey, right? So a lot of my sketches here, unless I fill up a whole spread, it will wait. Believe me, I had my first symposium in 2017 in Chicago. Hey, Chicago people. Uh, so that was in 2017. I didn't finish the sketchbook. I went back to Chicago in 2019 as an instructor, and that's the only time I finished the sketchbook because it's still in Chicago. So I have the patience to wait until the right moment. So you might want to do that because some people they say like, no, I have to finish this sketchbook. Like, no, mine can wait, and I have to work on something else, right? So all right, I think I'm done drawing. Maybe now it's time to start painting. Any questions?
Well, looks like we are good for now, but please feel free
Okay.
to put your questions in the chat.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what I also do when I'm on location, I would bring a little spray bottle. I think a lot of most sketchers would do this. Like that, saturate and sit a bit so it will be softer and easier to apply and to paint on. So that's that. Um, keep paper towels handy. Now I will start messing this up, which is the best part. Some people are like, oh, my sketchbook is so precious. I don't want to mess it up. Who 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 has the similar experience? Like, oh, my so pretty. I don't want to mess it up.
And are you just activating the pans right now just by putting some water on them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I sprayed some water on this one. So see, I like my old sketch, my old palette. The paints are sticking. So this, uh, Bonnie, maybe you can help me out with some of the colors just in case people would ask.
Oh, yes. So I believe what you're using right now is the mid ultramarine and I think probably
Yeah, mid
some of
ultramarine and
the,
bright blue.
yeah, okay, the bright blue. I was
Yeah,
going to
the
say, is
bright
it the
blue.
plum or the, and then
No, it's
probably I think you would
the
also
bright
mix
blue.
the, what is it, natural brown, and do you mix the black in with this at all?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I like making shadows with the black and the yellow.
Ooh.
Something to try. I told you, experiment. Okay, it's so pretty. It's so clean. Let's mess it up.
We do actually have a question from the chat about do you know if these sets are leak proof?
What do you mean? Leak proof?
Yeah, yep, the Derwent kits. Like if
Uh,
you close
no,
them and there's some, okay, yeah.
no. Primarily, as I've mentioned, they dry quickly. So most of the time when I'm sketching on location with this, I just walk with it for a few minutes and then it's dry. So, so that's it. Yeah. So as you can see, I spattered it already, and it will remove the stress of having a clean sketchbook since the sky is blue. Make the background blue. And if you have a bluish background, because you have some water on the scene, maybe add some water here, and which goes well with the shadow from the car. So let that dry. It will dry in a few minutes, and then I would use the natural brown, burnt yellow. No, this is burnt yellow. Yeah, it's burnt yellow. Then, so quickly add your ground and some of the rocks. Oh, this is a rough paper. Brand, I don't know. Can't remember. So, because you want something warm closer to you and the cooler colors at the back, right? So anyway, that's how I would do it. And you want your ground, the earth, like this warm color, and then add a mix. So while it's still a little bit wet, be bold, don't be afraid. It's a sketchbook, experiment with it. If you would notice, I didn't put any color next to the tree or on the tree itself. I'm leaving white spaces because everything else is like a negative space. So I put all the colors except for the trees. Well, except for the spatters. And so that's it. So here is a little bit of the brown. And then I will add a little bit of the purple. You can see. So if the sun is moving, I would immediately add my shadows onto my sketch. Because you cannot capture that again, especially if you're sketching a building that has really nice shadows on it. So what I do is I mark my shadows immediately, and that is too brown for me. I will add some of the mix of the yellow. See how it blends, and then add something onto the background. Make sure that you don't put too much near the tree. Leave it open. Okay. Do it again. Do a little bit of the mix. I don't know, some of you, especially if you're making your shadow, you have to add more puddle of your shadow later. But since now I'm just marking the placement of the shadow, since this is like a brown building, I put marks similar to the color so that it's not too off. A little bit of the yellow there. Ask some questions. If there are any questions.
I do have another question about, do you have any sort of similar techniques that you have, like you've got the Mo technique for blocking in people. Do you have any technique for blocking in like dogs or other animals that you might see in a scene?
Oh, for for animals, uh, usually it's just the ears. Unless you're really sketching the animal itself, they're always moving. So you just want to capture a little bit of the shape of the animal. Uh, yeah, so I don't have anything particular specifically to animals because every time I'm sketching them, they're running away. Unless I'm staying in a dog park, but still you cannot capture them because they're constantly moving unless they're asleep. I know some people, they would use their pets as a model only if they're asleep, because otherwise it's always a challenge.
I guess I also have a question. Do you find, especially for urban sketching, do you find that you're using very similar colors a lot of the time?
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on the season, depending on the country you're visiting, some countries are browner, some countries are bluer. If you go to Asia, there's lots of colors, mostly red, yellows. Here in North America, it's it's a little bit subtle because we have very nice blue sky in Toronto. I don't know about Vancouver, except spring and summer is the most beautiful place on earth.
Well, it's a bit overcast today, which I'm,
Oh,
you know, um,
the usual Vancouver weather.
yeah. We actually do have tying into that, we have another question about do you change your palette based on the season?
No,
Okay.
most of the time I would just add in colors that I put. Oh, I didn't bring. I have a separate small set for spring
Hmm.
because it has the pinks, the purples, I would
Yeah.
just add it. But my standard color are usually this if I'm in my Derwent
Hmm.
mood. Uh, but most of the time I have a Derwent set, either this or the graphite because I like
Hmm.
using the graphite. It's just grayscale with a little bit of color. And if you're rushing into something and you don't want to deal with color, sometimes I would just use the graphite and that's it because it's grayscale. What's important in drawing and sketching is not the color, it's the values. So you have to have your darks, your mid scale, and your lighter shades. So that's for me, that's more important. And just in case I would like to do it again at home, I can take a picture and then do it at home. But it's not the same thing. I would still prefer what I've sketched on my sketchbook. And sometimes, just adjust the color to whatever you like. You are the creator of your art. So choose whatever color you like. Just don't tag it as an urban sketch. You can tag your sketch that you did on location, but for your art, it's really up to you. All righty. Okay. So now it's I think I would just add a little bit of uh, yeah, for the yellow. Like I would add that later. Then for the greens, now I will add more of this for the green. This is a really nice green. This is one of my favorite greens. Even with my other watercolors, I don't have this nice green. I don't know if you have to see it, but it can turn to olive, can turn to like really dark green when you have to make your shadows. For those who likes doing landscape, I love these colors. Something you might want to try out if you buy the palette. Because I'm not a fan of sap green because sap green is already a blend. So I like my greens mixed from my blues and my yellows. However, there are some colors that I like that's automatically green or like they already blended the green. And this green is one of them. It's called racing green. So that is something that you might want to explore. Okay, okay. So I'm just adding a little bit of green on the background, still skipping the trees. Just adding some shades there. And since it's the same palette that I use, I already have a tree here. See, since you use the same palette, it's already connected immediately. It's already blended in. You don't need to. add any effort, and one less tree to sketch. There. Okay, add in some darks. There you go. Magic of the darks. What draws the eye is when you add your darks to your painting and your composition. There. Nice. See, I'm mixing the same brown on the same green. Because even if you see that the rocks are brown, there's still some shadows of greenish there when you look at the image, and if you look at it in person. If you observe the rocks, the colors of the surroundings of the rock is blended into the rock. So there you go. All right. So this is pretty much dry already. Now I can add more shadows. Oh, I noticed the section of the palettes, there are 4 compared to the old one. That's good because I like sketching and blending more colors for my blues on a bigger area of my mixing area. Because this blue will turn to after making the sky, it will eventually turn to my shadows. Okay. Oh, one thing I like about this palette, mix a little bit of lighter blue here, darker blue here, and the purple is good for making shadows. Look at that. You see? It's a nice purplish color. Add a little bit of brown there, and that's my darks.
We have a question in the chat now about the water brush technique.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we have a couple people who've never used them before. Do you have any sort of tips or tricks for people who are just starting out with them?
Oh, the only tip I could give you is do not be afraid to use your water brush. Um, First of all, buy them. Buy them from Opus, of course, and then try them out. Your technique in using a water brush depends on how you would like your colors to mix. You can What is convenient about water brushes is you have your water bottle instead of carrying stuff like this, or these are the water. I'm closing it because I want to show you. These are the things that I carry with me when I'm on location. Usually I would have 2, one for darks, one for warmer colors, and one for cooler colors. So it won't be too muddy, just in case you're out of water and you're still on location, the nearest toilet or water source is not available, or you run out of water or run out of drinking water. So that's what I do. However, if you have a water brush, you would do the same thing, and you can squeeze. Just make sure, if you don't want to mix the colors, you can squish your water immediately on your palette, use it for mixing, or how do we do this? I want to show you a technique. Okay. Okay. For this, I'm putting some of my paint here, and then I'm squeezing the water out. Do you see that? I'm squeezing because this has a little button, and you're squeezing out. It's practice. It's practice on how you work on your water brushes. So you can even, because this is rough paper, I can even do a little bit of dry brush technique. So you have to practice working on it. And if it runs out of water and you still have a like your little water bottle container, you can use it like your like any other brush. There are different types. I have a flat. This set has a flat. Bonnie, you have this on the store, right? You already have this on the store?
Yes, I think we have that labeled as the
Derwent?
chisel. Yeah,
Yeah.
large chisel
So
tip.
yeah. So they have it has a flat. I love this flat, especially if I'm covering like large spaces on my sketchbook. There's a large one. And this is the medium, if you want to check out. See the difference? And this is a fine one for those who like fine details. There. So this comes as a set if it's available in the store, and I think the regular ones that you get is this brush, the medium brush.
Yeah, we have all of them, and we also have the assorted set of four. So I put a
Mm.
link to the um
Yeah.
items. I'll put a link to the Derwent brush specifically in the follow-up email.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
we also have people who are saying when you're changing colors, what you're doing is you're squeezing the brush into the paper towel. You're not necessarily rinsing it in water to clean it.
Actually, I just brush it off on the paper
Okay.
towel so I can save on my water in my water brush.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm having a hard time with water brush is spattering. I still cannot get that technique of spattering with a water brush because some people can do it. I don't know how. I have tried many times. I'm a failure when it comes to spattering. Spattering on using a water brush. Unless maybe you because I like still the spatter created by uh like a rigger or a brush that has a long bristle. It comes, the swoosh is different as compared to the swoosh from here. It hardly swooshes. So that's the only limitation that I notice when it comes to water brushes. But otherwise, all of the sketches in this sketchbooks done using a water brush. Any other question? Because I'm just adding my shadows here. 15 minutes ago?
We've got about a little closer to 20 minutes. It's about
Oh, okay.
12:11 right now. Not
All
about,
right.
it is exactly.
All righty. Okie dokie. That's not too bad. Okay. So we have a rock here. I want to change the color of the rock, not from this one. Maybe I'll have a little bit of a bluish rock. So the blue here I will add on to my previous brown here because I want to have this rock here. I'm just showing this. There. Okay. Now, what do I want to add on to? I think I already add my people. Want some red. I use my red sparingly. since since I added something here, might as well add something to the other parts of the sketchbook. Was this blue right here? If I add a blue, of this lady here as a sketch. There's no blue on the other side. Might as well add them because you need some spatter of color to blend in, right? That's how you unify the scene. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's just a sketch. Okay. So some green here, there. What else do I want? Maybe a little bit of orange. This guy is wearing something orangey. Since this is in the spring, a lot of people are wearing pastels. Since this is a little bit white, you add some background. Okay. Oh, I like the blues there. Okay, let's finish the building now. I will use okay, this smaller brush. Adding a little bit of black so I can create a darker brown. Yeah, this fine tip, I'm using like a pen. I mentioned earlier that I like black and yellow to make shadows. Uh, it it does create a really nice shadow. So I'll make it a little bit darker. Sometimes you just need a little oomph to your sketch. Nice to have a flat brush. Just don't need to look for an angle. It's already flat. Create the angle for you. While it's still wet, you can just let it flow in your drawing. So it's not too white at the back. I'm just blending the colors in. And then let's go back to the roof. This is one technique you can use for the roof. Instead of drawing each of the line on the roof, just use a flat brush and then blend it in.
We also have another message from the chat about the differences between the Inktense paints and watercolors, because though they are both water-based, they behave a bit differently. Do you want to speak on that at all? Do you have experience with watercolors?
Oh, I do I love both. And sometimes I have previous sketches wherein I use both. I use watercolor for the background, and then I intersperse my Derwent Inktense to add like a spot of color. And you can actually layer both of them. So it's good to experiment. I have, unfortunately, I don't have those sketches with me right now. It would take a while before I would look them up. But yes, watercolor, because some watercolors they granulate, so it's that's a little bit different on how intense move. Uh, Intense can be transparent depending on how much water you add on it, but it's also, what's this? There's also fluidity in when it comes to using the Derwent Intense. However, it's just really intense when you add it onto to your sketch. So you can layer it on top of your watercolor, or you can just paint on it as is, or you can add it, you can alternate. You can also use it as a background because it dries quickly, and then you put your watercolor on top. Something to try.
So it seems like it's very much its own medium.
Um, yeah, but um it's not as forgiving as watercolor, especially the transparent, because some ink tents, although they say that you can actually paint this on fabric, I never tried it yet. So if you're working on this and you have a light colored shirt or something and it gets spattered on it, goodbye sayonara with the whiteness. I don't think it will disappear. I tried lifting it, it stains. It stains. It stays there. It can be lifted a little, uh, but it would stain.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. I'm just filling up the details. Now while that is drying, I will like to add some shadows. Okay, shadows on the ground, or maybe add some. Okay. Okay, that's good enough. I'm going to add some shadows, trees here.
We do have a question from the chat about the
Go.
Inktense pans. I don't believe you can buy the individual pans separately. I believe you have to buy them as a set.
That. Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to check with you, Isabel.
No, I don't. They don't have,
No.
but um, I think they have the bricks sold separately.
Okay.
So you can. I don't know if you're selling them separately. But yeah. So you can you can buy the bricks separately. This one,
I was gonna say,
it comes in a brick, so that one can be sold separately.
mhm.
Okay, any other questions?
Have you ever used the Inktense pencils?
Oh, yes. Yes, one of my sketches here, I would use them. This is Inktense pencil. Some of the colorings here, I use Inktense pencil, and then I activate them. My lettering is Inktense pencil. To change them. Yeah, yes, I do. I also did some demos here using Inktense pencil. Oh, that's a different story.
Oh, um,
Story.
you forgive me if you mentioned this already. I don't know if you did. Do you try as much as you can to complete a drawing while you are,
On location?
outside on location, or do you ever sort of get to a
I,
certain point and then take it home and then add details later after maybe waiting a little bit?
no. Usually I sketch it on location because if I take it at home, I'm too lazy to work on it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, we need to show it on our throwdown. Remember, we need a throwdown when we throw our sketches on the sidewalk, so everyone can see what everybody else is doing. Yeah. So as much as possible, we try to do everything on location, unless there's a storm or there's, something. I mean, something happens, and in case of emergency, and you
Yeah.
need to
I was going to say, how
take
often do you
everything home.
find there are things, maybe not like emergency, but like weather? Do you continue going even if it's like lightly raining? Like at what point would you say, this weather's too intense, I'm going?
We sometimes we look for a shaded area, or an eavesdrop, or something, so we can finish the sketch. One time I was sketching and I under an umbrella. So sometimes we do that. One time I was in Montreal. I was sketching this building, and the sun the sun would only shine on that area for like 30 minutes. And aside from that, you have to deal with the buses, because the students are going and walking, and their school bus is parking in front of you. So there's no way that you can finish the sketch. However, I was determined to do it, and I was vacationing during that time. I went to the spot 4 times before I was able to finish the sketch. It was intense. So, so that's it. So to answer your question, I would still finish sketching on location. Sometimes I would go back to it. Most of the time, I would finish it right on the spot.
So I also have a question here about sharpening the Inktense pencils. Do you
Oh,
use a sharpener or do you use an X-Acto knife?
I use Exacto knife.
Okay, okay. Because so you want to
Uh,
get the very long point.
yeah, yeah. Cause I also like a different points, and sometimes I would sketch with it on the side, and you cannot do that if you use a sharpener. So most of the time, I would just use an Exacto knife. It's cheap, $2 at the dollar store. You get
And
two.
do you have like a specific bag that sort of contains all your urban sketching materials?
I'm glad you asked. So,
Oh,
like, so I have this, and then I have a little backpack with me. I keep the pens on this side. I keep the pencils here, the paint palette I will put in a Ziploc bag. And of course, you need to add paper towels. I have another one for like my markers, if I need some markers, or it depends on the day. Because when I have my kit, I have a small kit that has all my fountain pen. That's the one that comes with me everywhere I go to sketch, because I have water water soluble ink in there, and then I have permanent ink in there, just in case I need to sketch something. I don't need watercolor. If I have watercolors, as I've said, I put either this, another set with watercolor only, or depends. During the fall, I like using the graphite, so because there's not much color. And then it comes in layers. So if I can bring a lot, I would have 3 items with me, plus of course the sketchbook. And I don't bring just one sketchbook. Sometimes if I have a meetup of for 3 hours, I can do 2 to 3 sketches if I'm in a mood. If I'm not hosting, I can do 3 sketches, because I've just, especially if there are so many things to sketch. If I'm hosting, because most of the time, if you're hosting an event, you're taking pictures, you're chatting with people, you check out if they're okay with what they're doing, you answer all the questions, so all of that. So if I'm not hosting, most likely I will finish like 2 to 3 sketches in one meetup. And that's a good question. Someone
Would
is
you
interested to become an urban sketcher. Yes.
And then we also have a question about the another like a media question. Do you use watercolor pencils at all in addition to the Inktense?
Yes. Because I would use a regular watercolor pencil aside from the Inktense to blend in like skin, pastels. Because Inktense pencils are very intense. I cannot. Um, Sometimes there's a certain kind of pastel colors that I cannot get from the intense pencils, but you can get it in other water soluble pencils or watercolor pencils. So you have a variety of pencils that comes with you. So yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna say like my own advice as someone I've never really successfully kept with the urban sketching habit, but
Uh-huh.
the tiny amount I've done, I've found that it's best to keep an open mind when it comes to materials and keep experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's also fun to just sort of see what different techniques will get you in terms of the end
Yes,
result.
true. That's why it's a sketchbook. It's for you to play
Yes.
around, to experiment. It's always fun to experiment. Right. I think I'm almost done. Yeah. What color can we put for her? A little bit of white. Yeah.
All right. I am now just realizing that we are at time. So we are at 12:32. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to maybe take a little time to finish up, but I am aware that we have hit the limit.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. I'm almost done. I mean, this is pretty much it. I
Uh,
don't know what does it look like. Oh, that's not
I
too
was gonna
bad.
say it's really good. It's been really wonderful to
Uh,
see it take shape over the
yeah, yeah.
this
You know,
session.
the only thing that I would do usually afterwards, because when I sketch this on location, I would just use a lighter, just chat away if there are additional questions. So I would add a darker ink onto some parts of the sketch, and just to also define some things in my sketch. But that's it pretty much. Because in case, same with watercolor, Derwent, when it when it dries, it turns lighter. So that's the thing that you can watch out for, which is also natural for lots of water medium. But yeah, Derwent is light fast, just in case you're curious about it. So it is light fast, and yeah, 'cause no one asked that question, so I almost forgot to mention it. So that's pretty much it. Yeah,
Um,
that's it.
sorry, I'm now just entranced. It's it's very like it's very soothing watching you work. So I'm kind of like getting a bit distracted, but I'll put myself back in the center. I don't know. I'll leave it as this beautiful picture. So people can take a good look at that. I do just want to
Yeah.
remind everyone there is going to be a follow-up email. I'll probably be sending that within the next half hour or so. And that will include the reference photo that Isabel provided, as well as links to all the materials she's talked about, and a link to all her social media. I'll also include a link to the International Urban Sketcher Symposium. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's better if you just use the urbansketchers.org, the website, because they get
Okay.
everything from there. And we also, Urban Sketchers also has drawing attention. It's a free zine. So it's a quarterly magazine, digital magazine, where you can see everything that's happening with Urban Sketchers, announcements of events, what other chapters are doing, and it's inspiring to see what other sketchers from all parts of the world, what they're doing, the stories on how women sketching changed their life. So something to check out.
Anyway, yeah, so that will be included in the follow-ups. As always, please reach out to Opus if you have any questions. Also, please be sure to give Isabel a follow and to join her mailing list. Many exciting, beautiful surprises there.
Yeah.
Um, all right, that is it from me. Isabel, do you have any final things you want to say?
Well, Bonnie, thank you for hosting me today, and thanks to all the people who stayed until the end. I hope I was able to answer a lot of your questions, and I hope I provided something interesting for you to try out. Like give the Derwent Inktense a try. You won't regret it. It's fun to use. It's nice to use in your arsenal. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for everything.
All right.
All
Have a
right.
lovely day,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Why are you not letting me?